So some of you guys know I've got a project I'm working on too, right along with you guys. And I'm going to use that as an example of a few of the dialogue things that you can do to smooth out your dialogue and some of the pitfalls to watch out for. So here is this project. I've done my organization and put everything on tracks just like you guys did for your first assignment for your midterm. Then what I like to do when I'm working on dialogue or effects, it doesn't matter. I don't want to see everything. So you see, I only have up the video reference file up here. And I've got the dialogue tracks that I sorted out. And I have a room tone kind of working zone. So when I find room tone, I can drop it there and know where it is. The way I got this view is I opened up Window, Tracks, and it's kind of like Photoshop and visibility of layers, right? So I soloed just what I want to listen to, the dialogue, because I don't want to get distracted by music and anything else. And I took off the visibility for everything else. So FX tracks, they're all not seen. And then I could save this if I want, track visibility, and save it to a preset so that I could load that preset. And okay, this is my dialogue preset. This is what I'm using to edit dialogue. Just makes life a little easier. And then what I can tell is stuff like, I'll show you guys some of the issues on here. There is the person who edited this.
Ground units, run out to Gallon, Northwest, Detector Bravo, Charlie 77.
Okay, that's not just dialogue, right? There's helicopter sounds in the background and there's effects that have been put on. So what happened was the guy who did this pulled this from a trailer edit. I am going to go back and find the raw audio and drop it in. That doesn't have everything put in. But that's something that will take me some time to find which take should I use for this. This is part of what's dangerous when things get baked in. I'm bringing this up because I know in ARIA, for people working on ARIA, that got done, that there was an export done of all of the dialogue that also had some music in it. So you don't want to use that. You want to use just the audio of the dialogue. Have you guys found that yet? Jack has yet. Keanu found it that they probably did basically a submix and exported it, then re-imported that back in. You're going to basically throw that away. You're going to go back to where you have just the bits of audio that were recorded. Okay, let me jump ahead to show you guys part of what I've worked on this. So I found there's a reporter talking, and she has 3 different clips, right? And I put everything on one track because that makes it easier for me to organize it. If you need to move things around, if you drag and then hit shift and move it, it will lock it back in place to where it was. So shift will keep it copied. If you hold alt when you move something, it makes a duplicate. So if you needed to duplicate and make a copy, alt just makes the copy. So I'm just gonna undo those 2 things. Your goal with dialogue editing is to get all your peaks around -12 to -6 absolute highest. -12 really is good for a post mix, and to have it smooth, and if there was major noise that you get rid of it. So I'm going to show you these 3 pieces here. So I'll zoom in on this. And there is a really fast tool in Audition to normalize your audio. You can select everything that you want to normalize, right click, and say match clip loudness. And this is using LUFS scale. -23 is about -12. After that, it's just a decibel is about the same. So if you wanted to do like your Foley, you could do like -35 to get your Foley down to a reasonable volume. And that's going to get you roughly there. And you can select a whole bunch of clips. Guys, if every student film did nothing but take all the dialogue, right? So I'm going to select, just draw a box around all my dialogue, right click, and say match clip loudness to -23 and let it process. student film quality would go up significantly at Regent. If you did nothing but that, it would go up significantly at Regent, because those problems of different volumes recorded on set would get fixed significantly. Now, you're going to do a little more than that for your dialogue edit, but that is a first step. So let me go back and zoom in. That's one way you control volume. The other way are keyframes and clip levels. The yellow line is your volume line. Now, somebody may have, like I'll skip ahead over here, see he's got this volume turned up. The person who had mixed this, actually that one I've already fixed. Up here you see where the yellow line is at the top. So in Premiere, or in this case it was DaVinci, the editor had just used keyframes to bring up the volume because something was quiet. So he has it plus 15 decibels, so you'd want to reset all these to 0 if you've done that loudness, because otherwise it'd be super loud.
And the lyrics are coming together in my
So
head.
like this would have
Something
been
about the ocean
way up here
or
after having affected the loudness. So you can start, but this is a good example where like, okay, there's some Foley mixed in. All right, I know -0, it's about right, but this,
something about the ocean. And
if I wanted to try to bring down that sound of the crunching, you can click on the yellow to create keyframes and bring it down and basically draw your own automations. So that's one way you can control levels. And now, see, that's lower and it's going to come back up. Okay? So you want to get your levels about the same, and then like going back over to this reporter bit. Before dialogue starts,
And with that,
just adding in a fade in so that it's a gentle start and cross-fading between sections. Now, if you have two pieces of dialogue that are right next to each other, if you drag the side over, it's going to create a crossfade. And then you can just check to make sure there wasn't somebody speaking.
moments ago, national
And that
guardsman
works.
shot him.
Okay? And you can grab room tone. Like I'm going to open this up and look for some room tone where she's not talking.
This time.
Okay, there we go. Cool, I've got some room tone. So I'm going to select this, Control C. Sorry, I'm going to cut, Control X. No, not cut. It's copy to new. Alt Shift C, copy to new. And now I have this room tone as its own file. So I could go over to my multi-track mixer, and let's say in here she had spoken, so there's a gap, right? And then that gap is going to sound bad. Now I could take this room tone, drop it in, and fade it in between the two so that there's room tone filling the gap.
This time.
See? And what I do, the reason I keep this room tone is just per scene, I'll drop the room tone when I find it, just to leave it. So I know when I need room tone as I'm editing, especially on a longer scene, I have it available. Does that make sense? So that's what you guys are really trying to do with this passive dialogue. Make sure that you have the best microphone in use. Your levels are approximately peaking around -12, and that the transitions are smooth. If you want to kind of keep going a little bit further on this, you can add some effects and add equalization or noise reduction. Noise reduction is honestly what gets used the most for dialogue, especially around student films. And you can change your effects in a couple different ways. You could add an effect for the entire track, right? So let's say if I wanted to do everything on this track, I could add an effect in here, and let's say noise reduction, and just a basic denoise, and I'm just going to do a light denoise. Okay, now everything on this track
The prices did.
will have some denoising done.
Hopefully, a much greater tragedy is going to.
If you wanted to only affect this one clip, you can click on the clip And then over in your effects rack, make sure instead of on track effects, you're on clip effects, and then you can add effects here. So it's a way you can change things without being destructive, that you can go back and alter them later. So I'm going to throw just that denoise. Actually, let me throw on reverb because that's going to be very obvious.
For now.
Right? So we hear it's a very strong
Oh,
reverb.
dang.
And then I know I've put an effect on here because it has this little FX. And that lets me know quickly looking at it that, okay, look, there's an effect. And now if I change my mind, I could just delete this. Questions so far? I don't really want you guys going deep into effects, just getting your levels smooth and filling in room tone. That's your goal for your pass on dialogue. Now, when you're done and ready to export this, for people to review it, they need to see the video, right? Because they need to see, is it in sync? Does this make sense? So in Audition, you can export video, say File, Export, and then you use Adobe Media Encoder instead of just exporting with regular exports. And then you can do H.264 and just say match source to match what you have. And that will export whatever you don't have muted, right? So whatever you have soloed or what you don't have muted and the video, that's what you would upload for your assignment. Some people had trouble with their video files of it taking forever to export. You can still just export the audio, then drop the audio and the video in Premiere and export it. That's just another step. All right, any questions on that?
So only
Yeah.
export the dialogue.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, so your first assignment this week, that's due tomorrow night, that assignment this week, because we move Foley a little bit further on, is to just export your dialogue. Films, student films usually don't even get the dialogue paid attention to. It just, unfortunate reality of what goes on. So just getting this pass will improve your sound quality so much on your films. One of the dangers if you don't use meters or things like doing that match clip loudness trick is you'll start out editing in the beginning and you'll be doing a good job matching your levels, and then by the time you get to the end, maybe your ears are tired and now it's 6 decibels louder. So always using those meters will help you to standardize your audio so it's consistent through the whole way. Then your next phase is doing any Foley and effects. I don't expect a lot for this midterm, right? Please feel free to do more if you want to, but I don't expect a lot for Foley and effects because of just, this is getting your feet wet. Mixing something so that some project you've done has better sound. Aria has a lot of effects already in it that can be used. In a minute, I'm going to show you guys how you can record your own Foley if you want to. Over next door and where the Foley closet is and stuff, but you don't have to record anything fresh for this assignment. I did put on Canvas under week 5 the Regent audio license login information, and that's for music if you want to use it. I do need to disclaim the license Regent has for you guys to use as students. One, don't go downloading a ton of stuff because our license will get shut down. It's a shared login. 2, it's for festivals. So if whatever you're mixing you want to go put on YouTube, you can't use this license to get music. Your stuff will get flagged and monetization taken away. So you just have to source your own music if you want to use something other than festivals. I personally have a Storyblocks account that I use for all my stuff, and Storyblocks has video, sound, effects, some Foley, all those things, and then it's licensed for you as the editor. You have to be the one who's actually downloading the effects and putting them in for the license to carry. But that's what I personally use. Then I found some places that have free sounds if you guys want to search for them. We have a ton of CDs. I'll show you guys where those are. That would have to be digitized if you want to use any of the effects off those. You can use those, but you know, they're on CDs. Any other questions on that?
When we export it, how should we? I'm seeing we don't want to export if Like, if you can pull that up again, just so I see, like, I'm looking
Yep.
at it right now.
Yeah, so export Adobe Dynamic, Adobe Media Encoder. I just do H.264 and match source, adaptive high bit rate, because that's going to make the computer's not going to have to work as hard, because it's going to be basically rewrapping your video file
Okay.
and exporting your audio. So that's what I would recommend. But what you want to make sure is, don't do something that's an audio only format like AAF or a WAV file. And that's how you get the video.
Media encoder format, you said, what was acceptable for that? What worked for that?
H.264.
H.264.
Yep. And that will export both audio and video.
Match.
Yep. And that's what you upload. All right. I'm going to stop this recorder and I'll upload this of what we just did. Wait, I was recording this, right? Thought I was recording it. I hope so, because the people in the class before asked me to please record when I went over this again.